Twice. I did. And I thought, oh my God. But you were Jackie.
What did you do to him, Bryce?
Maybe.
That's not funny, Bryce.
You were Dr. Brown.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we are actually going to look at some environmental type issues. We're going to focus on geothermal and what the benefits of using geothermal energy are, and even what some of the problems with using geothermal energy are. Geothermal energy is a great renewable resource that we have available to us in the country, in this area, and geothermal can actually help reduce the greenhouse effect that we have going. I realize there are some people who do not think that we have a greenhouse effect going on, but there are also people who do believe in the greenhouse effect. And geothermal energy is one of the great resources that we have available that can help us counteract, hopefully, that harmful effect that we have on the environment. When we use geothermal energy, we also are reducing the amount of chemicals that are spewed into the air, like the electrical plants that use coal in order to produce electricity, which can also, in addition, produce acid rain. Hopefully with geothermal energy, if we can get it established, we can make acid rain a thing of the past. It's going to take quite an effort to do that. It's something that I know that as scouts, you guys study the environment, you study the land, you camp on the land, and just like regular people who go out, we use the land for different things. I like to go out and just view nature and view the canyons and the mountains and everything, but if we have things like acid rain, it erodes all of the mountains eventually. It takes a long time, but it does. It erodes the mountains, it erodes our topsoil, which is not good for farmers. It's not good for people who grow plants for our pleasure. The acid rain actually kills what is in the environment. Geothermal is an energy that it's much more efficient, it's much to produce than energies that use coal or gas, which is also very expensive, as we know. Also, it operates more effectively. Geothermal energy does not use fossil fuels. Fossil fuels are oil, coal, things of that nature that we pull out of the ground, and when we burn it, create pollution, basically. The smog that you see sometimes in the morning can be caused from pollutants in the air that trap all of the burning from all of these fossil fuels in the atmosphere. Also, it's a renewable resource that we can go to time and time again. It renews itself. It's not like oil. Oil doesn't renew itself. Coal doesn't renew itself. They're from fossils or they're from shale, which will eventually be depleted. At some point, those resources will be gone and we won't have them any longer. It takes a lot less space to create geothermal energy than it does to build a huge power plant, which in turn you have to have oil rigs, and if you use coal, you have to mine the coal from the ground, and then you have to have a place to store all of the coal, and then a place to burn it, and then a place to get rid of it. With geothermal, it's more compact. Now, there are some things about geothermal that we will cover in just a little bit that are not so good. But for the most part, it is very compact operation. in terms, if you want to think of compact, it's still a pretty large facility, but it's not anything compared to what they have to burn oil and coal to create electricity. It's better for the environment. Like I said, it doesn't burn the fossil fuels, which put off all of the gases and everything that create the acid rain. It creates an energy from nature. It's used, geothermal is used from hot rocks that are actually contained under the surface of the earth that create steam. Because there's water that runs through there and the rocks are so hot that it creates the steam, and the steam is harnessed and brought up into the plant. And from the plant, that steam is used to run the machines that create the electricity. There's a really good book for those of you who are interested in the engineering part of it. It's called Geothermal Reservoir, and it's an engineering, it goes into the engineering process, and it's by Grant and Bixley, and it's a really good book if you want to look at that at some point. Also, hot springs are another, if you want to think of geothermal, hot springs, like Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's a natural, they can get geothermal from that. It's natural hot water that runs through the earth that they have harnessed to bring in. They use it for baths that help with skin and certain ailments. So it doesn't have just the effect of creating a cleaner energy resource. It can also help in human health as well. There are some impacts that unfortunately geothermal can have on the earth. If we change the environment, there's always the possibility that we're going to run into consequences from changing the environment. The wastewater can run off into our lakes and streams and actually change the temperature of the water. There are some plants and some animals that thrive on a specific temperature within that water. So we run the risk of changing that temperature and killing off some of the plants and some of the animals if they're not careful about how they dispose of the water that is in excess from the plant. There are also, when you disturb the earth and you pull a certain amount of water or too much water out from under the earth, it can actually create an instance where the earth sinks. And obviously that's not good because you're going to lose your surrounding land. So they have to be careful about how they pull that water from the earth and maybe even possibly put back water that they've used and pulled from the earth as well. We really need to look at the earth that we've got right now. I know most of you aren't thinking about children at this state, but those of us who do have children, we need to look at making sure that this earth is here and sustainable for the life that we put on it later on and after we're gone. Because if it's not here, then our children, our grandchildren, and their children are going to have problems being able to have electricity and things that they can afford. Geothermal is a really good way to bring inexpensive power, electricity to people who can't otherwise afford electricity or power or anything else in their lives. So we really need to look at alternative methods, and geothermal is a really good method. And here in this area, Trinity Church is powered by geothermal. They, from what I understand, Pastor Tartman said that they cut their utility bill down to a third of what it was, and which enabled them to put in air conditioning because of the geothermal energy that they use to power their electricity. There's a house in Golden off of 94 that uses geothermal energy. So they don't rely so much on the electricity from Adams Electric Company. They can produce their own. And underneath their own house, and they're pretty much self-reliant for the most part. So in conclusion, I just want to make sure that everyone understands that geothermal is a really good resource that will help us cut down on the spewing of chemicals into the atmosphere. It will help us bring inexpensive electricity and power to those people who may not otherwise be able to afford it. And it will probably keep us from having acid rain problems anymore in the future. And we might want to make sure that we look and study the different aspects that are available to us for geothermal. There are a couple periodicals as well that where is it from? It's the International Geothermal Association website. They have periodicals that they put out on geothermal energy that are really good to read. So if you have a chance, it would be great if you could go out and visit and try to tell everybody else about the resources that we have available to us as far as geothermal energy.